All right. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get rolling. Usually give people a good 4 or 5 minutes to jump on, but we have a lot of content to get through. And if people join a few minutes late, they'll miss my intro and some boilerplate stuff, but they won't miss the bulk of the presentation. So first off, good morning. I hope everyone is well, and thank you very much for joining me today to explore Zscaler. I'm Greg Swain, the Director of Solution Architecture at Winslow Technology Group. I'm joined by Rob Chi, our Partner Solution Architect. I'll start today with a brief overview of the agenda and an overview of Winslow Technology Group and why we've partnered with Zscaler over the last couple of years and why a lot of our clients are very excited about it. And then Rob will take a deeper dive into Zscaler, what it is, how it works, and also, if we have time, we'll jump into a very quick demo. All attendees who opted in will receive a $25 Amazon gift card. You do need to stay to the end to get that gift card if that's something that you're interested in. Right. So at Winslow Technology Group, we've been in business for over 18 years as a technology solution provider. We're headquartered in Waltham, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston, and we have a distributed workforce and recently opened offices in New York, Washington, D.C., and we've had an office in Charlotte for a few years now, North Carolina. Our goal is simple. We want to identify and develop expertise in game-changing technologies, and we do that by employing folks like our CTO, Rick Gowan, and our cybersecurity vice president, Matt Kozlowski, who spend a lot of time evaluating different types of technologies. Winslow works with customers every day to tailor technology solutions that solve both today's problems and take advantage of tomorrow's opportunities. We specialize in hardware, software, and services, not only in the core data center, but also end user compute as well, complemented by our security and cloud practices. We've been deployed in 37 states and Canadian provinces, and we have several international locations. For the most part, we're very focused on really the Eastern Seaboard, but we work with a lot of clients who then want to employ us to move throughout the country and help them with different projects. For the sake of time, I'll ask you to hold your questions to the end. We may have a very short period to answer questions, but if we can't get to your questions or the presentation ends, feel free to email myself or Rob and we'll follow up with you. All right. Why Winslow Technology Group is partnering with Zscaler. If you don't know a lot about Zscaler, honestly, I'm going to tell you, you're not alone. This is a technology. When our organization started exploring Zscaler as a solution for our clients, I was unfamiliar with it a few years ago. There's really 4 major reasons why we've really been indoctrinated in Zscaler and continue to talk about it week in and week out. And that's their thought leadership. They have a mature and proprietary differentiating technology. They innovate quickly, right? And the number one reason is that our clients continue to rave about the solution, what it brings to their organization, and how it enables them to have a secure environment with very easy adoption, right? And security is tough, it's complicated, and it's not inexpensive. Right? I think one of the things that really thrust Zscaler to the forefront, not that a lot good came out of COVID, but in terms of being able to work from home and the shift and letting people really enjoy a little bit better work-life balance, it drove Zscalers, it really drove a lot of adoption, right? COVID-19 accelerated the work from home initiatives, right? And a lot of those organizations were ill-prepared to support the large number of clients that suddenly were working from home. This new world required a paradigm shift, and that's really what Zscaler is. And Rob's going to unpack that a little bit in a few minutes. Zscaler was already actually well poised to take advantage of this work from home initiative, right? And had a recognized zero trust exchange technology. Partners recognize them as a leader in both the SASE area as well as the CASB. And the best part is Zscaler is delivering all of this innovation with a tremendous NPS score of 74. My apologies. One of the things that I really like about Zscaler is they have a mature and proprietary technology, right? So cybersecurity is on the top of everyone's mind. There isn't a day that goes by where Winslow Technology Group isn't working with our clients through a cybersecurity incident or helping them protect and harden their environment. But you can feel secure in the fact that you are partnering with an industry leader that has been around, since 2007. And I'm really not afraid of Zscaler being acquired, right? Mergers and acquisitions happen all the time, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it hurts. But I love the fact that they own their own technology. They're insulated from the industry at large. Zscaler is in the business for the long haul with 150 exchanges worldwide. And we're going to talk about what those exchanges are in a few minutes. Right? So they own their own environments where they analyze your data and do that in inspection. The inspections that they're doing, the data they're analyzing, they do that at scale. And they do that 10 times the number of interactions than Google searches that are performed each day, right? So you're not going to overrun their exchanges or their organization or their ability to look into your data and see what's actually happening in your environment. They have a significant amount of intellectual property with over 200 patents. I was very impressed by that number personally. And they support over 200 of the Fortune 500 and over 25% of the Fortune 2000. And so Zscaler is really dominant in their domain. With Zscaler's inline technology, which Rob will take us through in a few minutes, there's no dependency chaining to slow inspections down a complicated zero trust pipeline process, right? Decryption of all your SSL with minimum impact without expensive hardware, right? And this is a real differentiator. So maintaining firewalls, upgrading them, patching them, etc., can be a very demanding task. You avoid or shift all of that onto their software-defined infrastructure when you move to a technology like Zscaler. Threat actors are well armed and coming to take your data hostage and extort you. I wish that was just a threat, but we see it time and time again with our clients. Not only is data being held hostage, but it's being used for extortion, right? So we're going to go through some of Zscaler's core technologies today, but they have a number of other technologies that we may or may not hit on depending on time. And these are things like data loss prevention, browser isolation, and they have an on-demand deception capability, which is amazing. So one of the main reasons I really like working with Zscaler, and I think a lot of our clients enjoy working with Zscaler, is they provide you a certain amount of balance. And it's a simple way to solve complex problems, right? The right balance is a combination of a lot of factors. And Zscaler has the right balance of innovation, ease of use, reliability, and very importantly, cost effectiveness. Here at Winslow Technology Group, we have been working with Zscaler for years, helping clients size and deploy this technology in the most efficient fashion. Just to hit on a really high level of the use cases that we find our clients adopting most readily when they look to a technology like Zscaler, right? This is remote access to data centers without a VPN. And this is really user to application connections, right? So we're going to be secure at that level. We eliminate things like backhauling from the office to the cloud, and create user to app micro segmentation, and fast and secure internet and software as a service access, right? So allowing you to have a secure connection on a user per user base into these software as a service defined technologies, which almost every one of our clients is using one, if not several of those technologies. Obviously, a technology like this is going to greatly improve your security posture and protect against things like ransomware, phishing, zero-day exploits. It's scalable and on-demand inspection is, I think one of the biggest draws to the technology. And I mentioned DLP across users and devices. DLP is a very hard thing to implement, and a technology like Zscaler can really be a game changer. Oftentimes when we're looking or communicating with clients about problems they're trying to solve, often they are or have a lot of regulatory compliance, right? So regardless of your governing body, zero trust is a fast track to compliance. One of the things Rob will mention is that Winslow Technology Group has a cybersecurity assessment that is a complimentary assessment. It's based on the NIST cybersecurity framework. And essentially what that is, it takes about an hour of your time. So, you know, it's not free, it's complimentary. We're gonna work together. Your time is valuable, as is mine, and myself or somebody on my team will go through a tabletop exercise with you and generate a report, and it'll have a score for each one of these pillars in the cybersecurity framework, and it'll give you a good idea of where you want to focus your time and efforts and your money to harden your security posture. Right. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Rob Chi.
Great, thanks a lot, Greg. Get my screen up. Yeah, so like Greg was saying, I'm Rob Chi. I'm the Public Sector Partner Solutions Architect at Zscaler. I have my email there, and hopefully I'll be able to take all the value adds that Greg was able to portray for Zscaler and give a little bit more meat behind that as far as what the solutions actually entail. When you're looking at Zscaler, we really have 4 solutions that are able to provide differentiated service, and they're all cloud-based. The first, going around from clockwise from the top left, Zscaler Internet Access is our solution to provide protection through the cloud for users accessing internet-based applications. So this is an analogy is moving your on-premise security stack to the cloud and putting that in the cloud as close to the end users as they're accessing the internet as possible. Greg brought up the fact that with COVID-19, one of the things was that a lot of users were working from home. With Zscaler, we were able to provide them the best user experience with a very, very good protection as they're actually accessing these different resources from remote locations. You can see here with the Zscaler Internet Access, what we're providing is that full security stack in the cloud. And we'll go into a little bit more deeper dive on that in the further slides. Going around the clockwise, Zscaler Private Access. That is our solution for user to private application security. So think of that as an analogy to remote access VPN, with the huge differentiator being that with remote access VPN, you're providing secure access to an internal remote network. Things that users are authorized to be able to see from an application perspective, and also access to things that maybe they aren't supposed to be able to see because they're on that internal network. With Zscaler Private Access, our huge differentiator is that we are providing secure remote access to applications. So no longer access to different networks, but access instead only to the applications that those users are authorized to see, and providing the policy engine that makes that very flexible and scalable, such that once you implement your policy and allow users access to different applications, you can very easily add additional applications, add new users to a group of applications that have already existed. So it's not something that you can statically set up once and is difficult to change over time. It's very easy to do that. We also, with private access, also address the capabilities of third-party users that maybe not be able to run a Zscaler client. We call it the Zscaler Client Connector, and instead can use something called browser access for clientless access into browser-based applications. We'll go into that a little bit later as well. Further down, Zscaler Cloud Protection is really providing that protection for cloud workloads. Workloads that you have moved into the cloud, and now that they're in the cloud, you want to make sure that they are meeting your security compliance requirements and are meeting any other compliance requirements that you would have to adhere to. Perfect example is if you have workloads that are in Amazon and you have storage there with an S3 bucket. You want to make sure that that storage is not overly exposed to internet-based attackers or users. So with Zscaler Cloud Protection, you're able to use APIs to be able to go in and make sure that those cloud-based resources and the storage associated with that is protected, and if it's not protected at the level that it should be, automatically remediating that and making sure that it is within compliance and security controls to protect that data. Finally, it's the Zscaler digital experience. And this is the one I want, if we have time, I'd love to show a demo for you guys. And that's really around what is the user experience all the way from the end computer through the network to the actual application, providing two huge things. One, from a reactive standpoint, when a help desk user receives a call, having all the information at their fingertips to visually understand what that user's problem is without having to ask the user 20 questions, and dramatically reducing that mean time to remediation and getting that user fixed and back on their way to being productive user. The other is from a proactive perspective, you're able to have alerts that identify when maybe the CPU on users' computers are too high, maybe when an application in a particular region is down, maybe when an ISP is having problems, and alert you of that from the operations perspective before end users call in, allowing you to address that issue proactively without having a lot of users call in or having a lot of users impacted without already starting to address that issue. So with that, wanted to really highlight one of the huge differentiators that Zscaler has, and that is our platform. The way that we are constructed in the cloud. So everything from a Zscaler perspective is cloud-based. And what we've done is created 3 planes and separated them out to allow us to scale at a very high level. And like Greg was mentioning with things like deception, be able to add in new features in a very modular way into this architecture that is already built to scale. So looking at this, what we've done is we separated out into 3 different planes. At the top, we have our control plane with our central authority. These are a set of central servers that customers access when they want to do the administration on their particular tenant. So this is things like evaluating the policy, looking at the logs, looking at the diagnostics. So something that's not going to be very intense from an end user perspective, but is going to be hugely important in being able to make sure that we protect that the policy and the integrity associated with that. The next is the enforcement plane. This is at our 150 data centers. This is the workhorse of the solution where end users, headquarters, branch offices are all coming in to be able to send their data through our cloud-based security stack before being sent on to internet-based resources or private applications. So this is something where we own the servers in these 150 data centers, and we have staged them in such a way that they are commodity servers. If one dies, you take it out, put another one in, grabs its policy from the control plane, and is good to go. So it's something where we're able to scale and add new features using these commodity-based servers. And finally, we're separating out the logging plane as well. This is very important from a GDPR or other compliance requirements where they say that logs can only be stored in the country of origin or in a particular location. With Zscaler, what we're saying is no matter where the users are connecting across the globe, their logs associated with their connections are only stored in memory until they reach that location where they are authorized to be stored. And only then are they stored to disk. In addition, we have a log streaming service that allows the logs that need to be stored for an extended period of time to be sent to a SIM that your customer may actually host. So taking a little bit of deeper dive into the use cases associated with Zscaler Internet Access, what we're looking at here is, once again, that protecting that user to internet-based applications. So one of the big things is the fact that where do we store or where do we host these different points of presence or these data centers? It really is at local internet breakouts. So we selectively choose the locations that are very close and peered with the major ISPs in that area, giving very, very fast access to the internet. Also understanding that a lot of customers are moving to Microsoft 365. With that, we are hosting our data centers the same data centers that most Microsoft 365 is using, and providing very fast access to those resources as well. From a cyber threat protection, Greg went into a lot of that. We provide that security stack in the cloud. And one of the huge things is SSL inspection. We do that at scale. So there is no degradation or very little degradation in performance when we are doing the SSL inspection. So you can feel free to turn on SSL inspection, inspect as much traffic as necessary, which is generally going to be all traffic except for maybe banking traffic and health-related traffic with PII information, and not have to worry about a degradation in performance. Workload to internet, we see the OT devices more merging with IT, and OT devices needing to get access to the internet, but not having the ability to run a client on those computers. We provide the access to the internet and the full level of protection for those devices to be able to safely access updates and other resources on the internet from an OT perspective that they need. And finally, from the data protection perspective, providing both inline DLP as well as out-of-band DLP with CASB and API access, and providing something called exact data match, where you're creating hashes of exact data that needs to be protected and be able to search on that as well. So 4 great use cases for protecting users accessing internet-based resources and really moving that security stack into the cloud. One of the other big differentiators from a ZIA perspective is the fact that we are, if you have an on-premise security stack, generally, you're going to have each one of those points within the security stack having to go through serially, the data having to go through all those before getting access to the internet. With Zscaler, what we are doing is providing every packet that goes through is inspected at the same time using all of our different engines and then sent across. Single scan, multi-action, really increasing the speed that the traffic is able to go through our cloud-based security stack and reduce the latency and increase the end user experience. Now, switching gears over to Zscaler Private Access, this is our user to private application solution. Really, like I said earlier, we're doing remote access without VPN. So we're providing access to individual applications rather than internal network. In addition to that, we're also providing that direct access to public cloud. So a lot of times when you have like private applications stored in AWS, you have a direct connection, a site-to-site VPN or something like that between your data center and AWS. With our Zero Trust Exchange, you no longer have to have that site-to-site VPN. You can have that traffic from the users go directly into our Zero Trust Exchange and have what we call our app connector that is sitting right next to those applications, a virtual machine, make that connection into our Zero Trust Exchange. And when a user wants to get access to one of those applications, say it's SAP, they go through our Zero Trust Exchange, are validated with their credentials as well as their device, and only if those are authorized are they then able to go through this app connector and get access to those applications. For on-premise users, we have something called the Zscaler Private Service Edge, a virtual machine that is still managed by that cloud-based engine, that central authority in the cloud. But if you have a application within the data center, instead of having to go out to the cloud and come back into the data center, this private service edge allows you the ability to go directly from the headquarters and have only authorized users and devices be able to access those applications at the data center, reducing the latency and increasing the end user performance, because you no longer have to go out to the internet, just stay on that local area network and get access to those applications. But with the control plane still controlled by that single policy in the cloud. And finally, that third-party app access, what I was talking about before with browser access, clientless access, giving your business-to-business partners access to browser-based applications without having to use a Zscaler client. Now, one of the last things was really around the digital experience. It just looks like I won't be able to get to the demo, but this slide really portrays what this is able to provide. What we're doing here is taking what used to be point solutions from an endpoint perspective monitoring, a network monitoring, and a application monitoring, and providing all of that functionality through one solution, really eliminating a lot of the gaps that those point solutions had in providing that full visibility into an end user experience accessing an application. From a Gartner perspective, they call that digital experience monitoring. ZDX falls right within that category. So when you think about it from that perspective, it really eases the burden on the operational staff to be able to support help desk tickets when an end user calls in. So what we're seeing on the screen here is we have a number of different probes for applications and a score associated with that. This is our ZDX score, which takes into account the full breadth of the user experience, all the way from the end computer, their network, and the application performance, and gives that a score. So from there, what you're also able to see is for each individual user, what is their experience? You're able to see that from both the application perspective through the hop by hop network, looking at not only like the hop by hop, but the latency, the packet loss, and maybe the ISPs that you're going through, and being able to see from there where a problem may be occurring. Finally, looking at from a cloud and a trace route perspective, this kind of shows that in addition, even at the end user's home location, you're able to see from a Wi-Fi perspective whether there's packet loss associated with that Wi-Fi, whether a user is normally operating in their home office, but it's a nice day outside, so they went out to the patio and have a lower Wi-Fi performance at that location. Also, CPU, memory, disk utilization, and being able to see at a glance if those were actually causing the problem. So just to close out, I just wanted to say thank you for attending this. If you did have any other questions from a Zscaler perspective, definitely reach out to me, Rob Chi, at rchi@zscaler.com. And from a Winslow Technology Group perspective, with that NIST cybersecurity framework no cost evaluation, definitely get in touch with Greg for that as well. With that, just wanted to say thank you.